Welcome back to Bike. Today we are fitting a new RockShox reverb. I think it's a B1, basically the old one, to my Tallboy 3, taking off the exact same post, putting in the exact same post. It just happens that I found this post online brand new for 150 bucks. Probably couldn't rebuild the one I got, which is starting to sag and do weird things, for less than 110 bucks. 80 bucks for the kit plus my time and then stuff that I break along the way. So grabbing this was a screaming deal. It's exactly the same post I need. So I'm just gonna pop this thing into the bike and I got a brand new post. So step one is unbox it. Here's your post. It's gonna come looped up with brand new cable. This is a connect-a-majig. All I gotta do here is unthread that, and it's gonna push that cable out. Put the cable aside. Now I've got the seat post. I'm gonna take the seat post and just put it aside for now, because step one is gonna be getting this cable through my frame, which has internal routing. Nothing super trick, but let's get my camera pointed a little better at the frame. That's not awesome, but you're gonna have to work with me here. So let's unravel the cable. It's guaranteed to be too long, which makes sense, right? They're not trying to make a bunch of cables that are too short. Too long is fixable. But which side do you fix too long a cable from? This may not be obvious if you haven't worked with a lot of reverbs. Probably the best of the dropper posts, but I'll leave that up to you. Yeah, okay. So, first thing we're gonna do, in order to get this cable through that frame, we're gonna need to get this to look like that. We're gonna take it off the cable. It's not hard. I do believe I have a little wrench. Yeah. If you happen to need a wrench, you can put it there. Basically, you want to grab the cable and then try to unthread this remote, which isn't as hard as you'd think. It also threads in really tight, very fine threads, and that's going to hold it on there really well. And it works for hydraulic actuation. There's our remote. Set that guy aside. Now all I'm going to try to do is I'm going to rip this little sticker off. There we go. I'm going to put this guy through the frame. See if I can get camera pointing on my frame here. Okay. Let's see. All right. I can never remember how I got this guy to get through there the first time, but I suspect, it was the opposite of what I just did. Let's check it out. I bet they include, when you buy a reverb, they're going to include this little guy. And what it's for is you thread this guy into your new hose. And to do that, you're just gonna have to push a little bit while you thread. Basically kind of force the threads to start to eat into the cable. And you'll know when it happens, because it'll start to actually get in there. And they're very fine threads, so after that, you'll have to sort of keep going for a while. Okay. I think that's kind of good enough. Now I'm gonna take my old cable and put it back in the frame because it was dumb to pull it out. This is a connect-a-majig, which is not my word, I didn't make it up. But if you use a little 9mm wrench, you get that thing started. Alright, now, if we push this cable through the opposite direction, it should find a little port in the frame, and it should pop right out this C-tube. One little cable. Yeah, Santa Cruz. There it is. Very cool. It'd be cooler if you could just push it through when you put your seat post in, it just pops out the port, but you know, you get what you get. This is still pretty cool. So I'm just gonna make sure this guy's threaded in there pretty good. This is basically a barb that exists solely for the purpose of getting your new cable in and not having to do too much to get it to the other side of the frame. Otherwise, it would be more of a pain in the ass. Though, let's be real, we can't call this exactly super easy. And the main thing to be concerned about here is if you happen to not be careful enough with this or not try hard enough to make sure these connections are solid, you could lose this barb in your frame, and that would suck. And then you also would have to figure out some other way to get your stupid dropper cable to go through your frame. Okay, so what we're checking for here, yep, that didn't do much for us. So what I'm going to do is tighten this cable here, and I'm going to work on this real firm to get this cable to drop down into that barb in a way that's a little bit more firm, because it needs to be able to be a strong enough connection with this threaded barb to pull the cable through the frame. You can't have it just pulling out. Okay, that feels pretty solid, kind of secure, so let's take a shot at it. I feel fairly confident I've got at least one side in there strong enough that it will come out the other side with the barb. So I'm going to push at the same time as I pull. There's also a little grommet over here, which I'm going to pull out because it will both hinder the movement of the cable and also potentially rip off that barb. So this cable is all wound up because it's been in a coil for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. So that's why I got such a good deal on it. But I'm going to continue to push as I pull to try to keep the tension off that barb. I should really be able to make this happen by just sort of guiding it around corners and things. I don't want it to disconnect because it's just more work. The whole chore here is decreasing work. Oh! Just pulled off the cable from the barb, which means I didn't have a perfect connection on it. But, lucky for me, it's already at the edge of my frame here, coming out of the port. So, I can use a little this is just a pick. It's like a little Captain Hook deal, where I'm going to pull on that barb just a little bit as I push the cable further to the frame, and it's going to come out beautifully right where I want it to. No trash talk, that's luck. If that thing had come off while it was down in the frame, would have to start over. Not not a crazy huge deal, but irritating nonetheless. So, all right. Now, we got our new cable through. That's cool. So we're internally routed already. I got this seat post. Brand new. Baller. What we're going to do now is this is a carbon frame. To be honest with you, it's the heavy carbon frame. The C, not the CC. So when I ride this bike, it's heavier than the dudes that I'm riding next to. But nonetheless, it's carbon, so when we're putting an aluminum seat post in it, we need to use fiber grip here. Otherwise, the seat post can slip in and out of the seat tube, or it could also seize. I think fiber grip might help with both of those things, but mostly for sure, it's preventing it from slipping up and down. So before I put anything else going on, I'm gonna get some fiber grip in there. I use the Park Tool SAC2. Let's make sure I'm even looking at the right stuff. Yeah, super grip, carbon alloy assembly compound. There we go. And I like to put this down in the seat tube as opposed to on the seat post. I don't know why. Just feels like how you would do it if you want it to stay. If you're on the seat post, it's gonna all get wiped off as you're sliding it down in there. Okay. So next step is I need to connect my connect-a-majig, which is you got this silver thing here. All you gotta do is basically jam that in to the seat post, and it sort of pushes up in there, and then as soon as the threads get close to this little black doohickey, you can start threading that on. Nothing to it. It's actually a super cool system. Alright, we got that there. Let's make sure the seat post points the right way. Pull that cable through as you slide it down in there. You'll hear the fiber grip. It'll sound like there's some sand down there. This is one of those few times where that's actually a good thing. And that's not going to be perfect seat height, but it's close enough. So we're going to grab our little 4mm, straighten the clamp, and we'll just nip this a little bit so it's about where it needs to be. And then we need to shorten our cable. There we go. No big deal. Alright. So, to shorten the cable, this is obviously way too much cable. If I